Hi friends, wanted to make a video today to talk about which gymnastics grips I wear and why I wear them. So I always wear gymnastic grips if I'm doing anything on the pull-up bar for two reasons. The first one is it helps save my hands so they don't rip as much. And the second reason is when you're on the pull-up bar, if you can keep your knuckles on top of the pull-up bar, you're going to move from your wrists more than your hand, and that also helps you with ripping. Whereas if you're holding the pull-up bar with these kind of middle knuckles, your hand's going to rotate on the bar, and that can cause your hands to rip. And I just find that when I'm wearing grips, it's easier to get my knuckles on top of the bar. So two things to think about for grips is the first one, what type of pull-up bar you're using. So if you're using a bare steel bar, or if you have a coated bar. So the bare steel bars tend to be a bit grippier, but they're also harder on your hands. And then the powder coated bars aren't as grippy, but they feel not as rough on your hands. So I'm gonna show you all the different grips I have and just which ones I like, which ones I don't like, and what I use them for, just to kind of make it easier when you're looking for a pair of grips. So the first ones I got were these. They're just kind of the standard 2-finger leather grips. They're from Rogue. They're very well worn. And these grips just have the buckle and they sit on your fingers like this, and it's essentially just a piece of leather that just layers over your hand. So the downside to this is the leather is pretty slippery if you're using a coated bar, as well as they're short. So this is the biggest size you can buy, and they're still really short. So you aren't able to get much grip on the bar. It just tends to make the bar feel even thicker, which is hard, especially if you have small hands. So they're great to start out with, but probably not the best option. The next pair of grips I got were a pair of Victory grips. So these grips are much longer and they're a different shape. And so these ones are leather. They're very, very thin leather. And the way they work is same buckle and loop, but when you put them on your hand, they're a bit longer. And so when you pull them down, they have this bit of extra material that folds. And so that fold acts as a dowel. And so it hooks onto the pull-up bar, and then you use your fingers to press into the pull-up bar. And that helps you stay onto the pull-up bar longer. And it takes a lot of the pressure out of your hand, and it puts the pressure into the wrist strap. So if you're getting a pair of grips, getting them a bit bigger is always good because you can get that fold. And that way you don't have to worry about the bar feeling too big, because rather than having to try and grip onto the bar, you're just pushing your fingers into that extra material, and that's helping you grip the bar. So these leather grips are really, really nice. If they get worn down, you can take a wire brush and just rub them with a wire brush, and then use a spray bottle, spray a bit of water on them, and then put more chalk on, and they'll grip really well on a bare steel bar. So if you use a Rogue rig, that would be the bars that say Spiel on them, and these grip incredibly well on that. But if you're using a powder coated bar, they don't grip too well, which takes us into the next grip, which there's a few different options, but they're essentially the carbon fiber grips. So these ones are from Bear Complex. I also have a pair from Pixel. So they're basically the same, Bear Complex carbon, and then this is the Pixel RX carbon. They feel the same, they look the same. The Pixel grips are much cheaper if you're in Canada. You can buy them on Amazon. So it's just a lot cheaper than buying them from Bear Complex because they're in the States. But the nice thing with the Pixel grips is they stick really well to the powder coated bars, but they also stick really well on the bare steel bars. And these, again, they're pretty long, so you can fold them over and get that dowel. But something else that works well is if you don't want to put your fingers in, you can just hook them over the bar and hang that way. As long as you're getting the bar up on the top half of the grip, you can act as like a hook and you hook on. The only thing you don't want to do is flop it up high and then hang this way, because then you're just hanging from the tips of your fingers. So it defeats the purpose of hooking onto the pull-up bar. And these ones are nice because you can wear them high up on your fingers, or if you wanted to pull them down, you could. But I prefer to wear these ones high up on my fingers and then pinch that fold material over. The downside to these grips, I would say, is that if you're wearing, these ones are still really new, But if you look at some of the older ones I have from Bear Complex, if you are using them on a Bear bar, they tend to wear away. So the carbon material has worn away at the bottom where I've hooked on. But that also shows you where the grip is making contact. So it's really hooking on at the top, and then all this top piece is really just not being used. The next grip I tried was a second grip from Pixel, but it's called I believe it's pronounced Azor or Azor, it's A-Z-O-R, and these grips feel kind of like foam. And so they stick well on a Bear bar, so just a regular steel bar, but they're incredibly slippery if you're using them on a powder coated bar. And if you're using them on the rings, they're very slippery. So I don't wear them very often, but the nice thing about these ones is that since they're a foam material, they're very squishy feeling. So if you ever have a hot spot on your hand, these grips feel really nice for that. And they're the exact same shape as the Bear Complex and the carbon grips. The next grips I got were these RX Smart Gear grips. You can see the name there. And these were the Alex Smith edition. And so these ones do not have any finger holes. So they come on like this. They have a nice little buckle that has a roller wheel on it. And the way this one works is it tucks under here, and then when you pull it out, chalk. When you pull it out, it just flips over and you can hook onto the bar like that. So this works really, really well if you're comfortable flipping your hand over and pinching. You can see where the grip is worn down the bottom again, so at the base of your palm. So if you're comfortable getting over the bar like that, these are really, really good. Again, this is just leather though, so it's not going to stick very well on a powder coated bar, but on a steel bar or that Bear steel, it's going to stick incredibly well. And the nice thing about these is it's a little bit thicker, so it does give you a bit more padding on your hand, so you won't get as many hot spots. What I don't like these for is the rings. The rings with no finger straps. For some reason, if I'm using the Pixel grips, they're a bit longer, so I have more room to flip over. But these ones feel a little bit short for using on the rings. They feel totally fine on a pull-up bar, but on the rings they are a little short. And they're also pretty difficult to get into Canada with all the shipping. So that's the only downside to these. But they're probably my favorite grips if I'm using a Spiel bar or the Bear steel ones. They just stick really well. Wire brush again, just to get the fibers up, spray them with water and then put chalk on, and they stick incredibly well. And they're nice and padded, and they have a thicker wristband, and it has a built-in pad that you can remove, which is nice as well. The next grips I have are from Victory Grip again. These ones I believe are the Stealth material. I've had them for a while, but I don't wear them because I just find the material is very rough and coarse, and I was getting hot spots on my hands. But same thing, this one sticks really well if you're using a Bear steel bar or the Spiel bar, but if you have a powder coated bar, it doesn't stick as well. One nice thing that I like about the Victory grips though is that they have this feature where there's a bit of extra protection on the side of your hand. So there's a protection on the side here, so if you're doing a false grip on the rings, you do have a bit of extra padding there, because in here gets ripped if you're doing a lot of strict ring muscle ups where you're using that false grip. But they work the same way as the other Victory grips with this nice fold. For some reason, Victory grips I tend to wear further down on my hand, but then if I'm using Pixel or Bear Complex, I keep them higher up, but you can use them either way. They work really well with the fold. And then the newest grips I have, which I think are overall my favorite, are the Victory grip again, but these ones are the tactical grips. So the inside of the grip is a Kevlar material, and then the outside is a rubber material. And the rubber sticks so well on the powder coated bars. It feels like you're just glued on. It doesn't slip at all. It also works well on a Bear steel bar, but on the powder coated bar, these grips are amazing. And I've used them a bunch of times and there's barely any chalk on them. You really don't even need to use chalk with them. They work incredibly well. And again, same thing, you can just flip them over like this if you get the non-finger option, Or I also have these ones which have the finger holes, so you can then use that fold and hook on. Let me know if you guys wear grips, and if you do wear grips, what is your favorite grip? My overall favorite is definitely the Victory Grip Tactical Grip. It just works well in every single bar. It works well in the rings. There's really nothing that it doesn't work well for. My second option would be the RX Smart Gear Alex Smith grips, which I love on the bare steel pull-up bar, but they're a bit slippery if you're using a power code bar or the rings. But I also do enjoy the Pixel grips. They just wear out a bit quicker. So lots of options. They're all great grips, but let me know what your go-to is. And thank you for watching.